Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope you're drinking a margarita. What's in this cup? Nobody knows, except for me. We are so excited to do Paige. Yeah, well, yeah, Paige is also expecting, so she's going to have a faux garita. Is that a thing? We're making it a thing. Doesn't really
sure.
roll.
Actually, I just got gifted non-alcoholic tequila, just side note.
Ooh, keep us posted. We are so excited to do all things LinkedIn today. One of the things that I could talk about for 98 hours. It'll spare you. We'll keep it to 60 minutes today, but welcome everybody, new and old friends. I am Sam McKenna. I'm the CEO of #samsales. I am joined by Paige, our delightful head of marketing. If you sign up for our newsletters and you're like, these are pretty good and funny and hopeful, it is fully the responsibility of Paige to do that. So if you were not signed up for our newsletter, which you should be now because you're coming today, I have Paige to thank for it. I'm also joined by Catherine Kirk, who will be off camera today, but is our Chief of Staff and Head of Customer Success. And the three of us together are going to put on, hopefully, a webinar that is full of good stuff. If you are new to samsales, just a couple things to note about us. We are an all-women team of 11. We do everything from sales trainings to LinkedIn trainings to building executive brands on LinkedIn to writing the sequences that you have in your outreach or sales opt instances, of which there are probably 1,000 or 11,000 or 100,000, and they're all in need of some help. And I think there's something else to do. Oh, we speak a lot. So give us a shout if we can ever be of help. Last final thing of self-promotion, and then I promise we'll get to it. We have awesome sales subscriptions on our website. As an attendee today, you will get 15% off any of our shorts. That includes our LinkedIn Masterclass, your About section, how to build a network, how to engage and post stuff on LinkedIn, our LinkedIn Sales Navigator Masterclass. Everybody has it. Nobody knows how to use it, except you'll have a few tips from today. Great details in there. And then kind of just the final coolest thing, in my opinion, the LinkedIn Influencer Playbook. 33 painful pages, I mean, riveting pages of how to become a LinkedIn influencer, how to grow your network, how to monetize the platform, how to do all the things that you're supposed to be doing that you never knew how to do. We'll also tell you just about that playbook. We have some really awesome experts like Zoe Hartsfield on LinkedIn, a couple of other people, quotes on our everything about LinkedIn. But wow, this really opened the doors for me. So anything that's helpful to you there, please feel free to grab the link from Paige in our chat and then the code as well. With that, I'll stop talking about all that non-exciting stuff, and we will go to our first questions. We're going to go through about 10 questions that came in advance, and then we'll have anybody that wants to go live that has submitted their information in advance. We'll put you live on stage. It's very exciting. Get your questions and then go through a bunch of anonymous ones that we have as well. And with that, Paige, I will turn it to you for our very first question.
Okay, first question is, how should I structure my LinkedIn posts?
Cool. So I think this is something that a lot of people miss. Just think about this in terms of the structure, how it's built. It's really, really important. The number one thing, the most important thing to think about is the hook, right? So 3 things to think about. 1, your hook is the first few sentences that you have of the post. If you are writing a post and it is text only, you have 5 lines of text to use, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, including your hard returns. Now, you want to use these hard returns strategically, right? If you kind of look at any of the posts that I've made, you'll see that I'm trying to like hook you in. I'm trying to bait you in the beginning and reading that. So you do the number one thing that I care about most, which is click see more. I'll tell you why that matters in just a second. When you're writing a post, you've got 5 lines to use. If you include a picture or a video, you only have 3 lines to use. So be mindful of that. And to add insult to injury, whether you're posting a text post or whether you're posting a picture or a video post, if someone is looking at it from a mobile device, they will only see the first 2 lines. So you've really got to make use of those first 2 lines as best as we possibly can. But again, knowing that you've got 3 or 5 lines in that post if somebody is looking at it from their desktop. Now, in that hook, right, we want to also be careful to not be cheesy, right? So we don't want to be like, it was the worst day of my life, right? All that clickbait stuff that you see, like when you go to page 6, no, just me, to read something about celebrity content, and then it's like 1990 celebrities and what they look now. I'm like, oh my God, I have to click on this. Don't do that stuff, right? Think about just a way that you can set up a headline, right? Like bring somebody into a story, show them how you did something. Talk about maybe a negative experience that you had and what you learned about it. That hook is so important. Why? When you click see more, right, as a reader, what you're signaling to LinkedIn is there's something interesting here. And the LinkedIn algorithm cares about, LinkedIn as a company in general, cares about two things. Number one, how many members can I get to show up every single day? As much as I love LinkedIn, you know how we get those notifications and it's like, Sam McKenna's having a birthday. And you're like, who cares, right? They're just sending you those notifications to try to bring you in. Bringing you in is really important to the organization. The second most important thing is how long can they keep you there? What's the dwell time of you as an individual? So if I, Sam, write a post that gets people to click see more and then dwell, right? Like hang out on my post for a little while, that means there's something interesting here, right? And I'm delivering something that LinkedIn really cares about, keeping the reader there. So it's going to start to help more people see it. It's really, really important that you get that click see more written. Read through your posts. Sometimes you'll find that you've buried the lead, so to speak, right? Like at the very bottom, it's the meaty part of the post. Throw that up front and center. Final other things just on structure of post. Make sure that there's white space, right? So what I typically like to do is just kind of tell a story, right? Maybe I'll put together a question or an idea of something. Then I'll tell a little bit about it, right? How to do it, a script to use, etc. I might even break it up to say why this matters, right? Or I might break it up with emojis, right? Because what people are going to do, they're going to skim. We all skim. So when you skim through, right? If you click that see more and then you start to skim, what's going to happen? The dwell time is going to increase. You're going to be like, okay, where's the point of this, right? But your dwell time is going to increase because you're looking for it instead of we're looking for the point instead of just reading a little bit and then being like, oh, this is boring and move on. So think about that white space. I will also say, please don't be that person that does a white space between every single line, right? It's like worst day of my life. I was at the doctor's office, Let's be tactful, right? Use paragraphs, but 2 or 3 sentences, right? Or maybe then a big question or an emoji, etc. Final thing, and then I promise I'll stop talking about this topic. Paige and Catherine gave me a hard time earlier. They're like, you're going to sail through the webinar in just the first 10 questions. And I'm like, no. And yet here we are. So final thing to think about. One of the things I love to do in my posts, if you guys have seen them before, is I will write something that is very standard, very normal, very typical for, a salesperson or a leader or something to do. And then I'll put the little emoji that has 2 lines for eyes and lines for mouth showing my displeasure. So as a good example of that, I'll say, buyer says, reach out to me in 90 days. Sales rep says, sounds good. Puts note in CRM for day 89, reaches back out then. And then I put my little, I don't like that emoji. The reason I'm doing that is because the majority of readers will read that and be like, wait, that's exactly what I do. She says, I shouldn't be doing it. Why? Like, why shouldn't I be doing? What should I be doing instead? Right? Oh, the intrigue. So trying to get somebody to click that, see more, read, hang out, and then hopefully add a comment. 9 minutes. That's all it took. 9 minutes, Paige.
So fast. We're running through them.
So efficient.
Okay. Next question is, how can I stay top of mind with my buyers?
Cool. I would say, you guys, this is exactly what LinkedIn is for. So just 2 things here. When you think my buyers aren't on LinkedIn, I promise you they are. Almost 900 million members, half of them come to LinkedIn at least once a week for at least 5 minutes. That's a lot, right? What are they coming to do? Less than 1% of people actively post on a weekly basis. So if we've got 1% that's coming to post, and we've got, call it 49% that's coming in for at least 5 minutes, what are they looking to do? They're looking to read. They want to learn from you, right? They want to learn. They want to network. They want to comment on other people's stuff, but they're coming to learn. So posting content is the number one thing. Now, if you are terrified, right, and you don't want to do that, take little dip your toes into the deep end and just start to engage with your buyers, engage with influencers who have networks filled with your buyers, right? You guys, if you're new to me, you might not know this, but many of you know that my network is filled with CROs, heads of enablement, VPs of sales, entrepreneurs, things like that, right? So if those are the people you want to get in front of, engage with my content. Look for when they're commenting in there, or be the first to add a comment. Let me just give you a really cool pro tip there. If you hit the bell on my profile or anybody else's profile that's known to be an influencer, hit the bell on that profile, wait to see what pops up, and be the first to add a thoughtful, smart content comment. Here's what's going to happen. When you do that, people will see your comment first and they'll be like, oh, that's smart. And then they're going to like it. And then somebody else is going to like it. And before you know it, whether you're connected to anybody in my network or not, your comment is going to be the most seen because it's the most engaged with. I may or may not do that with some SVPs and CROs that I really want to sell to. What? Who said that? Such a smart strategy. So think about this too. This is a great way to use Sales Navigator, right? Look for the people that you want to stay top of mind with. Think about people who are like, we want to work with you. We're waiting for our CMO to get hired, or waiting for a new CRO to get here, or budgets are constrained until our Q2 or Q3 earnings come out. How do you nurture those people? If they post on LinkedIn, adding commentary and adding thoughtful commentary to their posts is really smart. Now, if you're like, well, all right, I know that I want to get into, I don't know, Salesforce, or I want to get into DuPont, or I want to get into Insightly, or whatever it may be. And you're like, how do I find who's posting? That sounds really painful. You can literally go and pull a search. You can literally go in LinkedIn.com or LinkedIn Sales Navigator and pull a search. In the filters, you can say executive at this company, these specific titles, lives in Sacramento, and posted content on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. Poof, you found exactly who's posting, save them into a list, pop in there on Monday mornings, add your commentary, right? And that's how you can stay in touch. So if you think about this in true, like a drip campaign way, right? Let's say you send them, you make a comment on Monday on their post from last Thursday. And then maybe on Wednesday, you send them an email. And then on Friday, you send them a follow-up email. And then you do that same thing, right? You're creating a drip campaign of them constantly thinking about you by using different mediums and not constantly thinking, just following up. Then if you're connected with them, or if you say, I love your content, thought I would connect with you, you can also start to send them DMs in addition to emails. Maybe they click through something and now they become a marketing contact and they see your marketing webinars as well. Super, super smart stuff. And it's really not that much effort. I was going to say just one thing. I saw a question on Boost, I think, and I was just going to say, target anything that has automation. I would not make the investment. So LinkedIn looks for that automation. I'm really sorry if we have automation or auto share platform attendees today. You guys know the dirty secret, but anything that allows you to auto share, to automate, to send emails at scale, LinkedIn looks for. And number one, it ups the odds. Functionality. I don't know what Boost is then, maybe Alexis. But I think what you want to think about is LinkedIn looks for that automation, right? Odds are they go land in LinkedIn jail, right? Or it'll stop the exposure of your posts and things like that. But then also when you think about it, if you use an auto share platform, let's just say something like Hootsuite, right? If you use something like that, what you're doing is you're auto sharing, and you're auto sharing probably company data. And then you're doing what LinkedIn doesn't want you to do. You're avoiding logging in and you're avoiding spending time in the platform. So when you use things like that, your posts get throttled, no one will see it. And it's really a wasted effort. I always say it's like running on a treadmill and then eating Ben and Jerry's afterwards, which I'm told you're not supposed to do. Right? Why make the effort if it's not going to go anywhere? Cool. Okay, Paige, over to you.
Okay, next we're moving on to connection requests. What do I say in my connection requests?
Cool. I think a lot of things. So one, there seems to be so much conflicting information about whether or not we should send something with context or we should just send blank connection requests. To me, I'm all context all the time. Now, calm down, right? Before we get people who are like, no, it's a volume game. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Here's what I would say. If you send blank connection requests to a bunch of executives, one thing that's going to happen is they're so accustomed to getting it, particularly from entrepreneurs, people in sales, people, that want to sell you anything. They're so accustomed to that if there isn't context there, they're going to be quick to either just leave it pending or to decline it and not address it. Let's say they just accept it. Let's say on the offhand they do. Then what? Then what do you do, right? What we often find is that's when the pitch slap comes in, right? Paige, thanks for accepting my connection request. Do you want to buy my stuff? No, get out of here, right? So what we want to think about is how do we stand out? How do we stand out and be different? How do we do something that's quality over quantity? And how do we just make an effort? So if you think about this, if I'm going to reach out to a CRO, I'm going to reach out with context. I saw your post, somebody recommended we get in touch. I love your content. I came across this awesome article, just thought I would formally say hello. I will also do this, right? So just great preview of what's in our influencer playbook. I will do this with anybody who engages with my content. You might have received a message from me for saying thank you for engaging with my content, and now we're friends, right? That's a win for you as a person. It's a win for you as a creator. It's a win for you as an entrepreneur. You effectively have a new subscriber to your content. So one thing I would say is build that into your process and your system. Now, what to say? Give context, right? What's the reason you're reaching out? And you might be like, well, what's to sell them something? Obviously, think of something that you can say, right? Is there an article? Is there something that you can do to show me you know me? Or build this in as, I would say, your third, fourth, fifth touch point in your sequence. If you're new to kind of this process that I talk about a lot, right? Let's say you have Outreach or SalesLoft and you use a platform like that. If you look at the timing in your sequence, what it probably says is this, right? Number one, you should look at their profile on day one. Why? You should look at their profile on day one because they're going to see that you looked at their profile and they're going to be super excited. Okay? No, they're not. If you do not have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you are limited in seeing your profile views. So if I don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I can only see the last 5 people who have looked at my profile. So let's say you follow that. Let's say you do that. You look at that profile first thing in the morning. You're like, I did it day one, very excited, right? If you are, let's say, the 6th person that looks at their profile that day, you're not even going to be seen. They're not going to know it. So not only may you not be seen, but they're often not checking. And those notifications of who's looked at your profile just aren't looked at. So I would say skip that. Instead, I would send your email on day one. Whether or not you should make a call is a whole nother topic, and I'll save that for another session. But send your email on day one, like on Friday. Send your email on your second email on less than 48 hours after email 1 has gone out. So really cool strategy to use is to email an executive on a Thursday or Friday, and then go 48 hours, less than 48 hours later, Saturday or Sunday, and send that second email. Send your third email, and then your 4th touch, right? So this is the 4th time you're going to reach out to them. That can be a LinkedIn connection request. And what I would say to do there is say something like, "Hi, Paige, my name might look familiar as I've sent you a few emails. I'd be so grateful for the chance to chat with you about how samsales can impact XYZ organization. Let me know if you're ever up for a chat." That's it. It's not a hard sell. It's saying, "Psst, I've already tried the old school way. Can you take a look at those emails? They were really good." And trying to outreach that way. What a smart way, right? To show somebody you've already made the effort, that now you're eventually coming around to the LinkedIn connection and getting them to accept. Just a quick side note there. What do we do afterwards, right? The most annoying thing that people do from a buyer perspective is they accept, and they either say nothing or they say thanks, period. And you're like, but I want to meet with you. Hello, right? So what do you do then? My advice to you when you get that, when somebody actually accepts the meeting invite, do not pitch slap them with a P. Don't pitch slap them. You have now gotten effectively a new subscriber to your content. You've opened up an awesome opportunity to exchange DMs with them, right? A new medium to stay in touch. Not only your posts, not only your comments on their content, not only your emails, not only your marketing emails, but now you can also DM them. Holy moly, what a win. So I would say respond, right? But what we always talk about at Sam Sales is that when you respond, what happens? Your buyer is going to see on the bottom bar, they're going to see your minimized chat window, and it's going to be flashing, literally like the Jaws music plays. They're like, what do you want? They're going to open up your chat box and you're going to say, "Thanks so much for connecting. Looking forward to staying in touch." Right? And they'll be like, "What the hell just happened? They're not pitching me." And you'll be like, "Just you wait, it's coming." Right? But set yourself apart. So I would say that in your connection request, right? Open up the conversation. And then just final kind of pro move there, think about bubble hunting. I wrote a really long post about this last weekend, a like modern day playbook for prospecting. And at the very bottom, it's bubble hunting. Save 20 or 30 or 50 people that you care most about getting in front of, and go and look at that list, right? In Sales Navigator on a Saturday or a Sunday. Look to see what green bubbles are lit. And if the green bubbles filled in, that means that person is active on LinkedIn. Then start a conversation, get engaged with them, right? I'm going to stop talking, Paige. I swear we'll get to more questions. So I'll wrap it up there for a second.
I'm going to jump in and give another of our top 10 questions, and then we're going to let some people jump in live.
Cool.
Okay. What performs better, how-tos or stories in your posts?
Yes to both. So stories are killer. You want to draw somebody in with a story. Even if you think about your about section, it's a story. If you go and look at my about section and some other, like I look at anybody at samsales about sections, right? Paige has a really great one. Catherine, amazing. Look at those. They draw you in with a story. They tell you something, right? They make you want to read more. So stories are fantastic uses. Now, if you can also use a story to teach something, holy crap, right? Like your post should hopefully go gangbusters. Again, really important that you have a good hook. But if I tell you, here's a situation, like I've got a story about getting a raise, right? And I say about how I was on the way home from President's Club and just found out that one of my male peers who had performed about half of what I did get a raise that was twice mine. Here's how I negotiated for more money. Oh my God, right? Like what a gangbusters post to put together. So think about stuff like that. How can you tell a story? How can you kind of walk through what happened? And then how can you teach somebody what to do? The most important thing, by the way, right? You're going to have posts that are going to be inspiring and that are going to get people to think differently. But if you think about the majority of your posts, that you actually teach them something, it's so important. Write a post and read it and then just say, so what? What did I learn? What now? What can I do now? Because if you're like, you should social sell, great. How? Right? Make sure you teach something. Hi, Adam. How's it going, man? Look at your wallpaper.
It's real wallpaper. Some people confuse it as a virtual background. I've had to get up and pretend walk around the room a little bit.
That is no easy task.
How many people are on this line right now?
Yeah, we got 163 right now.
Wow.
So people are going to call you for
webinar
this.
mode. Did I interrupt, or is it my time to chat?
It's your time to chat. We brought you live. Yeah.
This is what we like to do. It's kind of like the music, when you're trying to get people off stage and then we
okay.
We'll cane you off.
I have an impressive DJ deck around the corner. I wish I could bring you over there. So imagine the transition was smooth. So I was at a consulting firm for 13 years.
Cool.
And one of the movements over to now running a startup is this conversation around who is me versus who is the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been trying to put blog posts out there that we publish from our company website versus things that we repost as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a consultant for such a long time, there was this belief, maybe true or not, that everything that's in your brain is the property of the firm, right? And you can publish articles on posts. Now that we're in startup mode, a couple of my co-founders on this line, we're interested, what's the sort of narrative that we should be building both as a business? This is our company for anyone who wants to self-market.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Plug away.
Versus ourselves as individuals. I'm curious on that. And then I can ask a second follow-up, which is I'm curious about the pineapple behind you, because it's one of the things is not like the other.
We're big pineapple fans over here. I'll start with your first question before I forget that. So you're basically asking, like, what is the difference when you guys post, you as humans, right? Not the company. When you guys post, like, what should the balance be? Am I understanding that right? What should the balance be between like company posts versus like what's in our head content? Is that right?
Yes.
Cool. So here's what I think, right? I think a lot of individuals make a mistake of thinking that what they should actually be posting about is all company centric. Webinars, here's what we're doing, product release, exciting stuff, up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. What your audience your audience is here to do is to learn, right? So if you're constantly self-promoting, they're never going to engage with your content because you're not teaching them anything. If you even look at my posts, right, we've got a good fan base. Most of my posts do well. Self-promotional posts, people are like, we don't care, Sam. And I'm like, please, right? So you want to focus on what you're teaching someone. Now, people will say to me, you give away everything for free. What the hell, right? But if we can impact 1 or 2 or 5% of the audience that is never going to hire us, they can't afford us, they can't whatever, by giving it away for free and by having them take notes, right? Put us in show me, know me folders like Keith Dawes does on the line today. If we can do that, how awesome is that? But the rest of the people are eventually going to buy from you because they're going to learn from you. They're going to trust you. They're going to send your stuff around. So what I would say is take what's in your head about what you do and educate people. I think that's really important. One just quick note I want to call out. I think really 2 differences between that repost button. So if you kind of look at your repost button under a post right now, you've got 2 options. 1, repost, and then 2, repost with your thoughts.
Sure.
Repost with your thoughts is the updated share. When you hit share, you're going to get a little square, whatever the original post was, and it's going to go out in your account. Unfortunately, while it's such a lovely honor, unfortunately, when that happens, nobody's going to see your post. The other thing that LinkedIn really cares about is net new original content. So if you look at my post, you're like, this is amazing. And you reshare it and you're like, Sam's amazing. Nobody's going to see it, which sucks because it's such an honor. So if you're interested in just advertising whoever's post that was, just hit repost, not repost with your thoughts. Does that help, or do you have?
Yeah, it does. No,
Yeah.
that is helpful. Appreciate that.
Cool. You got it. Pineapple, it's friendly. I'm not from the South. I'm from Switzerland originally, although I did grow up in Florida, not the South. But I think it's friendly, it's hospitable, it's more the merrier. Hopefully, I even have a pineapple plant that I got sent over after I was on a podcast. Hopefully I think Charleston's big on that, right? Like warm,
Sure.
welcoming. Hopefully that's what we exude. And if not, the
Okay.
pineapple's going to fake it for us.
Nice. Thank you, Sam.
Great
Thanks
to
for the
meet you, Adam.
opportunity.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
What a compliment when people think that your wallpaper is your Zoom background.
I know, right?
That's how
Yeah.
pretty it is.
It's so chic that it could be a Zoom background.
Okay, I'm going to ask another top question while we get the next attendee queued up.
Cool.
So why do you always tag people's names in the comments?
Yes. So I think just a very simple and easy hack here. They're going to get an email that says that you did if you do it. So you're going to be ultra annoying. If I look at my personal inbox, there's a reason why I have my Gmail associated with my personal Gmail associated with my LinkedIn. And it's because my LinkedIn is filled with like 98,000. Somebody mentioned you in a comment, and I'm like, right, like I literally just delete it all every single day. But when you think about like the executives or other people that you're tagging in, they might not, I assume, get that kind of volume, right? Unless they're LinkedIn, gurus, whatever. But tag them in, because then they'll get an email. Sometimes people tag me in a post, right? Or tag me in a comment, and I'm like, oh, I 100% didn't see this, but I only saw it because of the email when I'm doing cleanup. So definitely do that. I'll tell you just the other thing. Some of you might have seen this, but I talk about this quite frequently. How many executives do post on LinkedIn? And if you look at their posts, it's so interesting. They get a bunch of likes, right? They might get 20 or 30 or 100 likes. If you look into those, it's usually just their staff members that are like, notice me, right? Which is fine. I did it too. But if you look at the comments are far and few between. So you might have an executive, you might have a VP somewhere that gets 140 likes and 2 comments. And the comments are probably from like, I don't know, their spouse and then somebody on their team. So a really cool thing that you can do, just super smart strategy, is tag them in the comment. Add your thoughtful comment and be like, I love this discussion at Paige, right? Delete the last name so you show, what you're doing instead of saying Paige Tills. And then add your thoughtful commentary. On the off chance they're not coming back to check their post, they'll see you in the email. If they do see the post, that's great. You're in their brain. If they see the email later, you're in their brain again. Double win, right? So tag them in. Same thing if you're tagging other people in, right? If I see something awesome and I'm like, Paige, you would love this, come over. She'll see the email if she doesn't see the notification first. Cool.
Cool, thanks. Okay, next up, how can I make my LinkedIn profile stand out?
Okay, so I think just a couple quick things, right? I think when we talk about doing profiles with clients, right, a lot of our leaders are like, well, we've been there, done that. And I'm like, okay, but not like our way. So I would say a couple of things that are super important. One, just a quick note on your picture. I literally thought about this tip at 2 a.m. So I'm glad I remembered it. Your picture, if you go on your LinkedIn profile, click on your picture, right? And then you'll see, I think it's bottom left, although they move it all the time. There's a little eyeball, right? And it'll be for visibility. Make sure that visibility is set for either all LinkedIn members or public, right? So basically what that means is anybody, 2nd or 3rd degree connection, will be able to see your profile picture, or even if they don't have a LinkedIn profile, right? Like a lot of people just don't still, they'll still be able to see your picture. Significantly enhance the odds that they're going to click on your profile, connect with you, etc. I see this mistake happen all the time. If you see a gray cartoon in somebody's profile picture, the first instinct, I also hear this all the time, is like, oh my God, lame. They don't even have a picture. And I'm like, no, they do. Their settings are just off. So make sure people can see you, right? Exponentially up the odds that they'll see your face. Second, headline. If your headline says, CEO at samsales, as mine does. You're missing the mark. Now, the only reason that mine does is that samsales is like, okay, known on LinkedIn. So I want people to say, I'm Sam of samsales, right? I want that front and center. But the rest of it should be, what is it that you do, right? What challenge do you solve? If you are Dave that works for AT&T, I don't think we have a Dave from AT&T on today, so I'll just go with it. If you're Dave that works for AT&T and you're like director of sales at AT&T, or if you are partner at Allen Matkins, right? What do? I have no idea. What kind of law? Well, if you're in Allen Matkins, we know what area of law you practice. Let's say it's Skadden Arps, right? What do you do? What area of law do you practice? What do you do at AT&T? What can you help me do? So talk about the challenge that you solve. The other thing that I would say, right, is you can break that, you can make it a sentence, you can break it up into sections, as you can see on mine, LinkedIn expert, whatever the hell else I do. And then add some of your personality in there. Do not be afraid. However conservative you are, however private you are, right? Just add something. What can we know about you? Are you a bookworm? Do you love to travel? Are you a scuba diver? Do you pickleball on the weekends? Play pickleball? Do you pickleball? We're going with it. What do, right? There's an attorney that we worked with before that makes maple syrup on the weekends. And I'm like, oh, this has to go in your LinkedIn profile headline. And he's like, I shall know. And I'm like, do it. And he's like, all right. And so he finally does it. And people are like, hey, we want to talk to you about our matters, but like, I want to hear about the maple syrup first. What a killer way to connect as a human. I would say you can also put things that I like. You'll see Phyllis Neffler on mine. If anybody knows who Phyllis Neffler is, I'll give you $100. No, just kidding. I'm taking that back. But Phyllis Neffler, like just something to connect on that's a little bit more obscure. Like put that stuff in. So yes, Alexis. The best. I aspire to be her. Phyllis, not Alexis, but also Alexis. So one way you can stand out, again, headline. Two other things that I would say that are really important. I'm lying, 3 things. Your featured section, what a great opportunity. Hi, John. Oh, John. Your featured section is an awesome opportunity, right? If you go to more at the top of your profile, add your featured section, right? What's on your website? What are great posts? Do you have a post that's been viral? Even if you've only had one that's gone viral ever. You get like 18 likes normally, and then you had one that had 1,000. Throw it up there. Talk about something that really shows off who you are. Anything that adds credibility is great. I'm going to just maybe mention about section, and I promise we'll move on to John, but your about section is so, so, so important. So if you look at any of us on samsales, it'll hopefully give you inspiration, but 3 distinct sections of your about section. Number 1, a story. How did you get into this? What did you want to be when you grew up, right? If you look at Christina Ricci, who is at TransUnion, she has a great about section, right? Talking about the 98 different jobs she wanted to have when she was a kid, ballerina, firefighter, all kinds of stuff. Think about just the story. How do you draw somebody in? Second section, what would you say you do here? Any Office Space fans? Just me? Okay. What would you say you do here? What's your expertise? What can people count on you for? And then I think that final section, who you are outside of the office. People want to engage with people. It's shocking, I know. But what do you do on the weekends? Again, even if you're private, what are 1 or 2 things that you'd be comfortable sharing, like having on the cover of the New York Times, right? Sam McKenna loves to travel. Dear God, don't tell anyone. What is it that we can talk about there that helps somebody connect with you? And I think putting some fun, like obscure things is cool too. And just getting people to want to talk to you about it. So definitely do that. I lied. One more thing, and then we'll move on. Your recommendations. Are they uncomfortable? Yes. Do you need them? Heck yeah. If you are an entrepreneur and have your own website, they should exist on your website, but you should still have some in your LinkedIn profile. If you go to samsalesconsulting.com and you go to the resources section and then Control F, recommendations, you will find an article that is aptly titled LinkedIn recommendations. Ugh, do I have to? The answer is yes. I feel your pain. But in there, you'll have every single thing on there, who to ask, how to ask, scripting to use, what the recommendations should say, etc. And yes, I will wear, Kevin, my 15 pieces of flair to make sure I keep my job. Okay, John, over to you. John, can I make you share your story really quick?
Hi.
I'm not going to cry if you share it.
Share the story of can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean last month I was like on a PIP, and I didn't know that I was going to make it to this month. So I just I went ahead and I had to try something new. like a concept of go for broke. And so after coming out of your like training from sales assembly, I did the show me you know me. And I was really surprised of how effective it worked. And then I just wanted more of that. And I did an audit of my meetings. I had 100% meetings held. I'm 190% attainment. So, I really changed it around, and and I like hit my quota in like 6 or 7 business days.
Oh,
So it works. It works.
congrats. Look at everyone cheering for you. Please connect with John, you guys. Like we posted about it this week. We promise John's not made up. Look, he's real.
Yes, I'm real.
What a story. Like kudos to you, man. We're stoked for you. Congrats. Okay, what can I answer for you about LinkedIn?
So there's, I saw a post from an influencer that talked about like AI content.
Mhm.
I like using ChatGPT because it's, I like it for research.
Yeah.
But do you think the LinkedIn algorithm will pick up that, oh, hey, this is AI generated? We're gonna, we're gonna stop the boosting.
That's it. I will candidly say that I don't know. I would say my instinct would be no. Because if unless you're asking the exact same query that everybody else is asking, and then you're posting the exact same formula of the content, I would say if it ever picks it up, it's probably a little ways away. Now there's probably some engineer on LinkedIn that's like, boy, are you wrong listening to us right now? But I would suspect not. I think if you need some help, right, like that's a great just thing to think about. How am I even supposed to write in my posts? Like just a great way to maybe give you some inspiration or get your creative wheels running, but I don't think you run any risk. And using that, I would say use it to build 80% of the content and then add your own flair to it, right? So that it's human and has your own authentic vibe, and then see how it does. I'd love to hear how it goes. Like, would you report back if you give it a shot?
Yeah. I mean, I have noticed that my own post that I write on, a story and then teaching, definitely does a lot better than just putting up like company content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely don't put the company content up there. Like be really mindful of how often you share it, especially resharing with your reposting with your thoughts. But more than anything, just share what you know, share what you learned, right? Like John, like you're a great case study for this of like, here's how I bounced back from being on a PIP. Here's 3 months in the last 90 days of what I've done. Your BDR pals and peers out on LinkedIn will eat that up. They want to learn. They want to know what worked for you. I was going to say one more thing. Be mindful of ChatGPT also for responses. I don't think he's on, but there's a gentleman that comments on every post I make. And it's like, it's just copied and pasted from ChatGPT, and you can tell there's no like human element to it. So use it, but spice it up, right? It's like getting something already pre-made at the grocery store and like putting it in your own dish. Make sure it looks like your own, not just something you got from somewhere else.
Okay.
Does that analogy work? I hope so.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, John. So good to see you
Thank you.
twice in a week. And thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Have a good weekend. Hey, Greg. Oh, look at that. Look at that picture. Oh.
Thank you. That's my way to trick people into humanizing myself.
It worked. Baited. Hook, line, and sinker.
I guess the biggest thing I'm curious about is like, so I personally am an individual contributor at a SaaS organization targeting enterprise customers.
Oh, and it's,
yeah, exactly. But there's a constant list of the tools you're working with, of the applications you're working on, of how to prospect, which platform to use, what cadence to build. And I guess the thing I'm curious about from your vantage point is what are the highest leverage activities in LinkedIn? Because it's like, do you create videos? Do you create long form posts? Do you just do consistency on really your point of view on things? Like, what's that first action that is the best that's outside of the, I'd say, one-time setup kind of motions?
Yeah. So let's think about a few things. One, like I think where we're so over, what's the word I'm looking for? There's just so much tech out there. And it's hard to know like what to actually use. Just a quick segue
Yeah.
on that. If it were me, right, as a seller, there's only 4 things that I think I would need. I need a CRM, like an Insightly, for example. I need LinkedIn Sales Navigator, something like a Gong or a Chorus. And there's one more, Outreach. Those 4 things, give me that in my territory, I'm good to go. Now, first steps that I would do on LinkedIn, it's not your posts that are going to matter the most. These are important, but if you were literally like, I have 15 minutes a day, what the should I do with my time? What you should do with your time is engage with your buyers, engage with the influencers that have access to your buyers, and engage with the buyers or the individuals that have access to your buyers. Be really mindful, right? Same thing for how we send emails and we do our outreach is the same thing that we want to think about with who we target on LinkedIn. It should not just be your ICP. If the only people I targeted were heads of sales enablement, CROs, and SVPs, be really working hard to get their attention. What I want to do is I don't want to write content, one that can be super broad sometimes and just silly, right? But I also want to think about targeting that person that reports to that person, that reports to that person, that reports to that person. You'll see we write a lot of content about BDRs. Why? Because it gets shared in Slack channels. People want to know how to do that. And it eventually gets their leaders. People pipe up about us in meetings, and that's how we get our visibility. So I would say one thing, create a top 50, 60, 100 list in Sales Navigator of your top prospects. Who are the people that come hell or high water you will close business with this year, and really stay on top of them. I would say the other thing, if you are interested, right, in posting content, it's the consistency that matters. So just 2 quick things. Your audience, as you get started, your audience cares most about, one, whether or not you have something intelligent to say. But before they start to engage, they want to know you're going to stick around, right? Because LinkedIn can be a shiny object for a lot of people. And if we start to engage with you and then you go away, well, that was a lot of wasted effort for us.
Yeah.
So consistency is key. I just want to be mindful. Am I answering your question? I have a few more things to mention, but anything else?
It is. It's just I think the thing that, like, the underlying topic to all of this to me is that it's before I start really even going out and trying to be consistent, all those things, I need to do kind of the slow thinking first. I need to compile my stories. I need to talk through my talk tracks. I need to like get through the things I can more easily reference so that it doesn't feel so arduous every time I want to go create something.
I think you're speaking the language of some of our SAM salesers who are like, what the hell am I going to write on LinkedIn? Right. And I'm like, it's easy. And they're like, I spent an hour creating this post. I would think about that, right? So I keep just a running repository of just ideas that I have, which sometimes I come up with 3 ideas, just commenting on somebody's comment back on my post. I'm going to forget about that in 6 seconds. So it's often to an email. And then when I need inspiration, it's there. I would say take a listen to 2 or 3 of the podcasts that really inspire you in your space. You'll get so many ideas, right? I listened to How I Built This, Women at Work by HBR, Brene Brown, right? And I listened to 60 minutes of that and I'm like, well, holy shit, I have content for the next year now. Super. But I think that's where I would start for that. For your buyers though, right? You're basically in an active networking event. Like it's a 24/7 hour that. So look and see what they're commenting, what they're posting. Hopefully it's not just like company content. Sometimes they'll post about like, I don't know, semiconductors. So I'm like, the hell am I going to talk about with that? But I would get your start there. Create that list, segment your ICP to your lowest hanging fruit of who you care about the most, and start to just carve out 15, 20 minutes a day to comment on their stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Great to meet you, Greg. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, we have Sarah coming on next, but in between, we had a couple people that wanted to know the difference in connect versus follow and which is better.
Cool. Neither's really better. If you do follow, I think that can be a little bit of a less intrusive way to follow somebody's content. So whether it's an influencer or somebody, an executive they want to get in front of, if you just hit follow, you're going to follow them and you should see their content. When you connect, you've got to go one step further, right? Hit the 3 dots, hit connect, and that piece. Again, just make sure you've got context there. But once you're connected, it's a first degree connection, right? So you have that opportunity to send them DMs, whereas follow, you don't. I would say for whoever it is that you're interested in following and seeing their content, hit the bell on their profile. If you do it on your mobile device, actually, instead of your desktop, you do it on mobile, you can select which updates you want to get. So all of them when they post are only the ones that really perform well. But hit that bell. Not only will you be notified about that, you'll do them an awesome favor though, right? Like LinkedIn looks for that. How many people have their bell rung? I probably have 2. Thanks to you 2 out there. It's probably Paige and Catherine. But when you think about that, just an awesome thing to do. I was just going to mention one thing, be mindful of the mobile app. So when you're on mobile and you hit connect, you have no opportunity to be able to add a message. So when you go to somebody's mobile profile, right on the app, just click the 3 dots and then hit personalize invite so that you've got an opportunity to say something. And Lindsay, yes, nobody knows that you've hit the bell. We don't get a notification. I would love to get that. Let me know. But that's privatized. I think probably member privacy, lame. But yeah, just a safeguard there. Hi, Sarah. How's it going?
Hey, great. Thanks. So enjoying this conversation.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Where's this ladder?
so-
Where does this ladder go, by the way?
It's my escape hatch.
Oh, cool.
You never know.
Hoping you don't use it.
Yeah, exactly. So far, so good. So first of all, I have got your LinkedIn influencer playbook and I found it really, really useful. So anybody on this line who's considering, it's well worth the investment because it took a lot of the guesswork out of things for me.
Thanks.
So thank you.
I put my hands in the air before you use the word. Yeah, I found it really terrible. Oh, anyway, I'm glad it was a positive word.
Yeah, there was a kill button on my profile somewhere, like Paige is just ready to kill as needed. But I do have a couple of questions and I was given the green light, so I get to do 2. So first, what you need to know about me is I'm an entrepreneur within an established company. So I'm really out there trying to raise awareness of my brand and what we do. And LinkedIn's been a hugely valuable tool for us. So that's really our platform that we're using. Adam touched on this, but I'm curious to know, so we have a company page, great. And I'm much more active on my personal page. I'm interested to know the interplay. So when I make my comments, because I post only once a week, but I'm working on that, I'll get there. Does LinkedIn squeeze you if your company page comments on your post, or what's the interplay between personal brand and corporate brand on LinkedIn?
I'll always say this again. If I don't know something, I don't know something. I have absolutely no idea of the impact of the company page commenting on yours. If just kind of using deductive reasoning, I don't think that there's anything there. You are gaming the system a little bit by getting one riveting comment that's from your company page. I wouldn't hesitate to do that, right? And I'd also use your company page, by the way, to go and comment on other people's content, right? Like Paige will do that as the admin of our company page. We'll see that pop up sometimes. So just a good way for people to be like, who is this? And people are like, samsales, you've never heard of us. It's cool. But good way to capitalize on that. I'm just going to just pull this thread real quick. Everybody asks, right? Company page or personal page. Your company page is important. You want to have a presence. You want to have it fully baked out. It's a website, right? That you have on LinkedIn. The content that comes from there isn't as important to dedicate your attention to as it is your personal brand or that of your executives, right? That are going to try and get a voice out there. Nobody wants to engage with a robot, which is basically what they're engaging with on company page. You don't know if it's Sam or Paige or whoever it is that you're engaging with when you add a comment. And if you just need proof in that pudding, look at LinkedIn Sales Solutions, right? LinkedIn Sales Solutions has almost 500,000 followers and they get like 13 likes a post and no comments. So just be mindful of that in terms of the division of labor and what you focus on.
Okay, that's perfect, which is actually a nice segue to the next question.
Like we planned it.
Right? Just like we rehearsed. But what does good look like for a newbie? So Sam, I follow you and like your Delta post, I was like, yeah, what imagine if. However, for someone who's new, so I have, just for context, about 1,200 followers. What should I expect for good? I'm not into buying lists to grow followers or anything like that. So would love for you to maybe help manage my expectations a little bit with the time and everything.
I think this is a good question for a lot of people, even just some of our clients who are like, why did I not have 1 million followers yet? And we're like, takes time. So I think just two things to be mindful of. the views, the impressions to me are the most important thing, right? Like we want to game the system in certain ways, right? We want to make sure you're getting 10 comments within the first 60 minutes if you can. No, they should not all be yours. Try to avoid you being that first comment, right? But engage, right? The quicker, the better, because it shows there's something going on here. Also, just quick side note, longer comments back. So if I comment on your post and I'm like, cool article, which I would never do, by the way, write back a longer post and then ask me a question, because then I'll be like, oh my gosh, she cares about my opinion. You might not. You just want to bait me, right, to respond to the question. Make sure we're doing that. I think the thing to think about is those views, right? When you get those views, don't forget, these are human beings. So even if you get 500 views or 1,100 views and you're like, I only got this, 1,100 human beings saw your post, right? So focus on that first and foremost. In terms of metrics, what you should care about or look for, if you have under 10,000 followers, you should typically get anywhere from 0.5% to 0.75% of your followers to engage with you. That's very, very little, right? But as you continue to grow, obviously that number will grow. Once you exceed 10,000, if you look 0.25 to 0.5% of your audience will engage with you, then you see success. There are things you can do to game the system, right? Like pictures really work, selfies really work. I think it just depends what kind of brand and content you're looking to put out there and, you know, how you want to do that. Just one more thing to mention, if you look at a dividing factor, look at how many impressions you got and divide the impressions you got by the likes that you got. If you get anywhere from 40 to 60 views per like, you're doing pretty good. As you start to get closer to that six figure or over that six figure, that's huge. When you get close to that, so if one like ends up equaling, let's say 100 views at the end of the day, what that also tells you is that there was an interesting enough post here that probably got pulled off LinkedIn, got shared in a community, in a Slack, in a text group, in a WhatsApp, whatever. And then people came in to read. They don't know you, so they didn't engage, but they read. So it's just a good signal to kind of do that math sometimes on the higher view posts and say, what was good here? What really resonated? What can I replicate?
Okay, so is it good then to post your, if I'm in internal comms, which I am, and there's internal comms groups, to share the post them as well to help boost the impressions?
Yes, be mindful. Okay. So you're basically, it's like a deconstructed pod, if you will, right? It's not like you've brought 6 people together and you're like, let's all comment on our post together. You're sending it out to the masses. Odds are you're going to have a sprinkling of people who like today's post, another sprinkling who like next week's post, etc. Totally fine to do that. Be mindful of pods. Pods are, again, a careful orchestration of 30 people or whatever. If it's the same people that always like your post, LinkedIn's going to be like, that's cute, no thanks. And then it's not going to matter anymore. So just be mindful. But if it's a huge group, right? Like I'm in some Slack channels that have a few hundred followers and I'll be like, I posted about this today. Anybody interested? And I'll get 2 people to like it. And I'm like, thanks guys, thanks. But otherwise, especially internally, yeah, get people to help boost your content.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You got it. Great to see you, Sarah. Hi, AJ.
Hi, I was like, it's not coming on yet. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hey, good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I was just writing to Paige, like, everyone, hello to you all as friends, but then like everyone's your friend. Everyone loves to be here.
Oh. What's on your mind?
Okay, so I was going to, as you have touched on this a little the whole entire time, but my question was, can you give me like 1 or 2 sentences really quick that would be likely to be opened when I reach out with a LinkedIn message? Because I'm not 23 right out of college, and I don't want to be like spamming hundreds and hundreds of, I want to like go to 5 people that maybe I have a first or second degree connection with and say, hey,
yeah.
So
yeah, let me answer this question. One thing I was just going to say, I know everybody's going to start to jump at the end. If this was helpful, do us a favor, share us with your LinkedIn network, create a post, tag us in, say something you learned, pay it forward. We would love and appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so a couple things. One, use that script of my name might look familiar if we've already done that outreach, right? Great opportunity to help drum up business, especially for you at TransUnion, yay. Other thing that I would say is cut out anything that looks generic or recycled. I see we have a few common connections, anything that can be copied and pasted to you and 500 other people we want to avoid. So if you say like, I love this article. I came across your profile and this person's read, whatever, keeping in mind, they're probably going to see about that first sentence. So if you have somebody come and comment, loved your post about this, loved this comment on XYZ's profile, anything that cuts front and center really quickly to the lead, right, of why you're reaching out is key. We want to also just avoid, for anybody that's really new to the LinkedIn game, several common connections. I see we're in the same thing. I see we like the same content. Again, none of that. Make it as specific to that human being as you possibly can, and you'll be in great shape.
Got it. Thanks, girls.
Thanks, AJ. Good to see
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye. We maybe have time for one more question. Paige, anything top of mind for you or from our chat?
Okay. Yeah, I'll squeeze at least one in. Can you talk about video? I've seen that video often performs worse than written in regard to impressions, yet many experts push for video content to build a following.
Are they selling video platforms? What? Who said that? I think the thing you want to keep in mind is, are you good on video, right? So if you show up and you're like, hey, let me tell you about what we're doing here at samsales, nobody's going to care. So make sure you're good on video, good lighting. You're not behind a window. You're not in a cave, right? I would look at that first. The second thing, just to make sure that your video actually performs well, is that you've got captions. So I think 92% or so of videos are watched on mute, right? Like I watch mine at 2 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep and I'm on Instagram and I don't want to wake up my husband. So most of those videos are watched on mute. If you don't have captions, somebody's going to scroll on by. If there's not a good hook with that as well, if you're not seeing something at the top of that video of like, 3 easy ways you can hit your quota as a BDR today, whatever that might be, right? Give them a reason to watch your video and cut to the chase quickly. Think about that in the same way that we write posts for webinars, white papers, documents, etc. Don't just say, we're hosting a webinar, come hang out. Like, what about the webinar? Teach me a tip and then tell me you're going to teach me something, right? Even if you think about this, like, I think I wrote 3 posts about today's webinar. I think 2 of them taught. One was just like, come hang out with us, yeah? That was the other one. But pull them in, give them a preview. What can they learn? You can also do this in a nurture email that you send, right? So if you are nurturing somebody that says, contact me in 90 days, and you want to continue to build a relationship with them, don't just say, read this article and thought of you. What's in it? Give me 1 point. Why should I sign up for this webinar? We'll be great about it, right? Give them a preview that gets them to click on it, look at it, see it, etc. We even do that when we nurture with our LinkedIn content. So let's say like our sales team, when they send out an email to an executive and say, by the way, Sam had a great LinkedIn post. Here are some of the comments that were given, right? Like Sarah, our VP of sales, had this genius idea to put in some of the comments of what people were saying about the post, just to be like, everybody loves it. You will too. Come and click on it. So think about that. How can you draw the reader in? Yes, we should get them to click on it anyway, because it's just a click. Does everybody have a lot of time? No. I will stop talking. Running a race. Super stoked to get to do this. Thanks you guys for coming. And thank you for letting me wax poetic about one of my very favorite topics on the planet, and put up with all my enthusiasm. I appreciate it. Paige, thanks for being a lovely co-host as always. Catherine, you in the background as well. Have a great Cinco de Mayo, great Friday, great weekend, and we'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.